Back in 2012, Elon Musk talked about in an interview what he called his single best piece of advice. And I used this advice and I integrated it deeply into my study strategy at university, and it made a massive difference. It was a huge part of how I managed to achieve a 4.0 GPA. And that advice was the feedback loop. Implementing a feedback loop into your study strategy is huge. I talk about it in depth in the one-on-one coaching I'm doing for the Transform Your Grades in 30 Days course I launched a couple of months ago. You can check it out, there's a link in the description, but the amount of students that I coached that were struggling with their exams, but then they implement a solid feedback system into their studying strategy, and then they're able to completely turn their grades around just from that one change in their studying. It really is staggering how powerful this is. So in an interview, Elon Musk said, "I think it's very important to have a feedback loop where you're constantly thinking about what you've done and how you could be doing it better. I think that's the single best piece of advice. Constantly think about how you could be doing things better and questioning yourself." So the feedback system that I implemented when I was studying for my degree at university is super simple and can be implemented by pretty much anyone. There are 3 parts to the feedback system. Step 1. Reflect on the day's productivity or performance at the end of every day. Step 2. Reflect on every exam or assignment grade. Step 3. Reflect on whether current productivity or performance is in line with goals. And what this feedback system is designed to do is that it's designed to keep your grades increasing and increasing. It's important that just because you see your grades increase slightly, you don't just stop there and get complacent. But your feedback system will help you keep aiming higher and higher and achieving higher and higher grades. So let's go through each step to see why it's so powerful and how it can significantly boost your grades. Step 1. Reflect on the day's productivity or performance at the end of every day. So at the end of every day, I would reflect on what happened that day. So what study strategies worked well for me and what study strategies didn't work well for me? Did I get distracted and start procrastinating more than usual? And if so, what was it that triggered that procrastination? I realized that in the mornings, I was the most awake and energized. So I designed my study plan so that I would study the most difficult and intensive subjects in the mornings at that time. And in the afternoon, just after lunch, I'd be feeling more tired and have less energy. So I'd study the easier subjects, and if I did have a particularly unproductive day, that's fine, it happens every now and then, but it's absolutely imperative that you learn from it so it doesn't happen again, or at least it's less likely to happen again. So maybe you got distracted binging YouTube that day and didn't get much studying done. And it happens to all of us where we get distracted sometimes, and so we don't study much that day. But that's where your feedback system comes into place to catch those days where you're particularly unproductive, and so the next day you implement actionable steps to stop you from making those same mistakes again. The main idea with this step is that each day, because you're constantly reviewing your performance and what you're doing well and what you're not doing well, you're slowly making incremental improvements that over time, over a period of a month or 2 months or 3 months, they will snowball into some pretty significant changes, and those changes will be reflected in your grades. Step 2. Reflect on every exam or assignment grade. Every exam grade I received back, every assignment grade I'd received back, I would look at the feedback, if there was any. Normally with assignments there would be feedback from the lecturer, but with exams often there wasn't. There was just an exam grade. But if I did get any feedback from the lecturer, I'd write it down and make a point of making sure I improve for the next assignment. But also I'd ask myself, did I get the grade that I was aiming for? And if not, why not? Was there anything I could have done to improve my grade that I can implement into the next exam or the next assignment? My aim was to learn from the feedback given to me and keep getting better every year throughout my 3-year degree. I remember getting the grade back for my first assignment in my first year at university, and I was given 76%, equivalent to a first class degree, a 4.0 GPA, or an A grade, depending on which system you use. But I received no feedback on my mark sheet, and I saw some of my classmates, their mark sheets, they had some feedback. So I met with my lecturer later that day and I asked him for some feedback. He read my paper again and said, That's really good, just keep doing what you're doing. And so I pressed him further. I received 76%, so there's still 24% of wrong in there. Eventually he gave me some points to work on, but it goes to show how seriously I took constructive feedback and how keen I was to improve on the work I was doing for every exam and assignment. So this feedback loop is unquestionably part of every successful person's growing process. Being able to receive feedback is one of Elon Musk's biggest strengths. And as Steve Jobs once said, it doesn't make sense to hire smart people and tell them what to do. We hire smart people so they can tell us what to do. And Musk does exactly that. He hires smart people that are constantly giving him feedback on every part of his business. And that's what you should be doing, asking your teachers or lecturers or anyone you can for as much feedback as possible so you can continue to keep improving. It's a really basic thing that a surprising number of students just don't do. The amount of people that I see cramming in their revision before the exam or pulling overnighters in the library. And of course, their exam grade suffers because they haven't prepared sufficiently. But then when the next exam comes, they'll do exactly the same, and then the next exam comes and they're again pulling overnighters. It's this kind of ineffective approach that the feedback systems that you put into place help stop. Step 3. Reflect on whether current productivity or performance is in line with your goals. The third and final step is to make sure that where you're studying at right now, it's in line with your goals. It's super important that you're constantly monitoring your progress at school or university, because I see this so often where a student studying has not been in line with their grades. Maybe they weren't studying hard enough, maybe there were other distractions in their life, but then their exams come around and it's too late. You need to catch it and fix your studying performance well before your exams arrive. And I get it, it's a super easy mistake to make. Maybe even know that you're not studying where you should be, or you're not studying the number of hours that you should be, and that you're going to fail your exams if you continue like that. That's where the feedback system comes in. It encourages you to make incremental improvements every day to kind of pull you out of that hole you're in. And I talk far more about this feedback system and give you dozens more advanced study strategies to go through in the Transform Your Grades in 30 Days course, but please only take the challenge if you really are ready to put in the work and put in the hours, because if you are, I'm more than happy to work with you one-on-one with coaching calls to support you along the way throughout the course. There's a link in the description, and if you are ready, I look forward to working with you very shortly.